Hello everyone, welcome to another video here on Motorcycling Endeavors. I have a very interesting topic today. Question for you. Is it possible for the US to fully adopt a digital dollar? And when I mean fully adopt a digital dollar, I mean that cash becomes no longer legal tender. So that all transactions, financial transactions in the United States are purely the digital dollar. Is it possible? Now, if we think about it, in America today, many of our transactions are already digital, electronic, digital. Think about your paycheck, direct deposit. That's a digital payment. Think about making your mortgage payment, your car payment, your insurance payments. Chances are, those are all electronic digital payments. When you go to the grocery store, department store, your favorite coffee shop, you get your gas, you're either going to swipe, insert, or tap your phone. So there's already a lot of electronic digital payments taking place. So some may say that transitioning to a full digital currency wouldn't be that big of a deal because most Americans just do it anyway. And it would just be, we would just have to make it accessible to those that aren't banked. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, and I am just going to cover the logistical portion of that in this video, because the logistics of it would be a time-consuming entity and a legitimate nightmare for the federal government to tackle. And the two things that are important to fully adopting a digital currency logistically is, number one, every square inch of the United States will need to have reliable internet and cellular service. Period. Reliable internet and cellular services. Not all parts of the country have this. There are villages and towns where it's spotty at best. There are districts and counties and economically challenged areas of this country that do not have good, reliable internet and cellular services. This is extremely important, because if that's not in place, the potential of locking out a portion of this country to the, you could call it banking system, so to speak, is highly probable. I mean, think about the small towns. You ever taken a road trip and you go through small towns and you may only get one bar of cellular service if you're lucky? You know how some areas don't have high-speed internet yet? Yes, they do exist here in America. So the people that live in those areas, they would be completely closed out, because not having reliable cellular and internet service will cripple them. Think of the small businesses that would be in those areas. Think about the gas station, right? The little mom and pop stores, right? How would they perform their transactions adequately without reliable internet and cellular services, right? How do they get in touch with larger banks and their own banking institutions? So locking people out of the financial system due to inadequate internet and cellular services would be a bad thing. And to cover every square inch of the United States, to have this is a logistical nightmare. It would be very, very, very expensive to do. Not all of us are fortunate. We live in either Indianapolis or a nice suburb or another major city where everything is all there, right? Where the infrastructure was built and put into place. There's plenty of cell towers, you know, they got high-speed internet access. Not every place has that. And that is what has to happen in every area of this country for the digital dollar to be effective and to work and to not lock people out. So that's logistical hurdle number one. The second logistical hurdle is that everyone will need to have a device to connect to this network, and it has to be 100% reliable. Okay? And so this means that there are people who are economically challenged that cannot afford a device. A device, a good, reliable device, would have to be made available to them for no charge. That includes the network they're on, right? Simply just saying, we will buy everybody a device, everyone who wants a device in this country, we will buy one for them. But if they have to turn around and use a national network that they have to pay a subscription for, that's not going to work. So all cellular services would have to end up being, and data services would have to end up being free at some point, because people would need to have access to those networks. They do for free to be able to access, right? Because then again, if no one has a reliable device that they can connect to a network on, then guess what? You will lock them out of the system as well. That can happen. That will just lead to complete anarchy. There are more poor people in this country than rich people. Okay? Just a harsh fact. So you can't lock out the masses. You can't lock out the masses. So you have to have a device and provide that device for people, and it has to be free of charge, right? Just think of all the economically challenged people that are out there, right? It could be somebody who's homeless, who's trying to get their life back together, or maybe you know, someone who's coming off of addiction that's just trying to work, right? They need to get device. And how do you get them to them, right? How do you get it to everybody? Not everybody has an address. What about people who are just living a vanning lifestyle? They're just going out and they just live in their RVs. How do you get them a device, right? Do you just set up a national center where people can go all over the country and pick up a device? Can you do that? I mean, would the government set something that up where you come in and they show you how to connect to your network? Can the government really run a huge logistical distribution thing with premier customer service to make sure that everybody knows how to access their accounts? When they have problems, they can go someplace. Is that something the government can feasibly do? So from the logistical standpoint, it would be a complete nightmare for the government to go digital currency unless they decide just to say screw it and lock out a huge portion of America. And then it would just be chaos. It would just be absolute chaos from that point on. It really would, because once people can't buy groceries, they can't get their medicines, they can't get gas because they're locked out of the system. It's bad. It is just bad. So yeah. So anyway, people, let me know your thoughts. I mean, is it possible for the US to adopt a full digital currency? Now, there's other issues with it. You know, certainly there's a lot of debt out there that has to be paid in US dollars. So if you're going to attempt to switch a currency, you've got to be able to have other, even including countries and people in other countries, be able to pay their debts back in US, that they owe in US dollars, in some form of US dollars. And so if their countries are not set up to accept a US digital dollar, that's a problem for them too. You know, there's also some other aspects of the digital dollar that are negative. For example, the government now knows everything you do and everything you purchased, right? I mean, they could say, Mr. Endeavor, you brought a box of jelly donuts at B&B's Bakery on July 2nd of 2020. How did they taste, right? They will know that. They will know everything. They'll know when you got gas. They'll know what you've purchased. Oh, Mr. Jackson, you purchased 20 boxes of ammos at something gunsmith. What did you need those 20 boxes of ammo for? Right? They'll know all that. You know, they'll know all that, right? So there's a lot of things. Certainly, to me, I think privacy goes into the toilet if the U.S. ever enacted a digital dollar. But I think right now, logistically, we have a stay of execution because logistically, it would be very difficult for the U.S. to accomplish a digital dollar, just simply because it can't cover the whole United States and give everyone a device in a well-coordinated fashion. The U.S. is just not set up for that. It's just not. I mean, we've seen how the government has bungled, the Katrina mess and the pandemic mess. Oh, I said a bad word. Oh, YouTube's going to sanction this video. But anyway, yeah, I don't see. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Well, anyway, that's the video for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you at the next one.